Is this season over yet? I think we've all been through the ringer in the last couple of weeks, but yeah, feels like we've all aged quite a significant bit as well in the last 14 days. But regardless, folks, of all the carnage, all the craziness that's going on just now, it is once again Friday night and it is 9 o'clock. So as always, you know what that means. It must be time for that Friday feeling here on the Boys on the Bus. So yes, indeed. Oh, Liam. What? Where do we even start with what has happened in the last couple of weeks, mate? It has been absolute carnage, to say the least. But hopefully tonight, between you and I, we can just take stock and do one of our I say traditional now. It's quite worrying that this has became traditional. Friday therapy sessions, essentially, rather than just a Friday feeling, mate.
I think we need a therapy session after this run. You're right. Where do you start? I've been on. It's funny. I took the morning off and I just listened to music, and I was listening to old school stuff. Everything from Bronski beat to Zodiac Mind Warp and the Love Reaction. Just anything to get my mind off it, because I've been consuming the last 3 days, and you just keep going tunnels and tunnels. I went doing just sort of like trying to figure out, okay, so who's this Paul Teasdale and where did he come from and who appointed him, and was there an announcement? There just seems to be so much cloak and dagger, and I don't know, hopefully I can uncover some of that today as like unwrapping the worst Christmas present ever.
I know, yeah, certainly not the season to be jolly anyway, the way things are going right now, but as I say, we will try and pick through the bones of the clusterfuck that has been the last 2 weeks. And sorry to just come out with an F-bomb right away, but that's how we're feeling right now. It has been brutal, to say the least. I don't think many of us could have really seen this coming. But anyway, before we get into all that, you know what to do at this point, folks. You know what I'm going to say. It's time to do all that good stuff, of course, and help the channel out. At absolutely no shock, Liam, will you be surprised to hear this? We've had a bit of a spike recently in subscribers and viewers. Off the back of some bad results, as usually happens with fan media, because yes, thanks to everybody that's tuned in and subscribed in the last couple of weeks. It has been hectic. The numbers have been going through the roof, though. So, hey, if we entertain you, whatever, then hit the old like button, help us out in the old algorithm, the old traction on algorithm. CSC gets recommended in more inboxes on YouTube. If anyone likes Celtic podcast content, then we're more likely to pop up, and obviously likes and interactions help us with that massively. Of course, you can. Like as I just said, many people have done in the last 2 weeks or so. Hit the subscribe button. Remember, the bell notification is your best friend, because it'll notify you when we're on the road. And yeah, we are very consistent. We win, lose or draw, as Terry said the other night, we're always on for a post-match anyway. Usually Terry's always hosting that, and it varies. What a time for Johnny Logue to make his debut on the post-match through the week. Oh,
I know.
he picked a cracker, that one. But yeah, that we're obviously very consistent with that one. So also look out for our post-match shows, and of course, me and Liam are always here on the Friday night, and any other shows we can fit in as well. But the games are coming thick and fast. Who else can we do? Comments tonight. Let's have a wee look, Liam, at who is joining us so far tonight. We have got Patrick Kerrigan is in. Robert Gibson is in. 420 Somewhere has literally just gifted membership, which you can do, of course, for $1.99 a month. Get your virtual Celtic scarf next to your name, and thank you very much, 420 Somewhere, for doing that. Football is Life has also joined us. Graham Tyrrell is here. Has he got a new klaxon sorted yet? I think I can take a guess who's going to be the new klaxon holder. Thomas Burns is here. Ian is here. Ian McIntosh. Who else? We've got Sculzo. We've got Smell the Glove. Jim C. James Kennedy is in. Loads of people are in. It's a busy one tonight, as I expected it would be. James McCauley is also here. Brown Warriors also came in. And I think I've shouted at everyone so far. Nord Celts is also here. Yeah, I think I've covered everyone that's said hello so far. Oh, Jim Dolan as well. So thanks everyone for coming along. Take your usual seats. As I said there, if you want to become a Boys on the Bus member for $1.99 a month, then you can do so as well. And again, as I always emphasise, we're not going to put any content behind the paywall and hide it in Patreon or anything. It just keeps the channel turning over. And yeah, again, if you like to download the audio files and catch up later, then there is a link to our SoundCloud audio website in the description below. So yes, all the good stuff done, Liam. All the good stuff out of the way. We need to get into this, mate. We need to get into this one. I've used this quote before, but again, from the movie Full Metal Jacket, it's one big shit sandwich and everyone's got to take a bite. So here we are, Liam, to take said bite. where do we even start? Well, I'll let you pick, Liam. What subject first and foremost within the last 2 weeks can we home in on first?
All right, so the good news is Lawwell's gone, or he's retiring.
Yeah, that's big news. Yeah, let's start.
That was big news, and that was good news. I think everybody welcomed that. What we didn't welcome was the Michael Nicholson interview after that.
Yes.
You've been a very, very naughty boys. You've been a very, just chastising the support. We've let the man who built this club, not Jock Stein, not Billy McNeil, not Tommy Burns, not Henrik Larsson, Peter Lawwell. Peter Lawwell, we've drove that poor man away.
I know we have, yeah.
And it's affected his family. And he's the one that brought his family into it, no us. He the one that's included it. He made it a family thing, not the fans. Anyway, I just thought it was terrible. It was a terrible piece of communication for a guy that we all thought was mute. For his first, communication that with the fans was to come out and give us shit because we drove his daddy away and his protector, and. Yeah, I just thought it was really, really shit. I mean, that wasn't what it drove him away. What drove him away was, we as fans, we're no mugs. We've got standards. We understand Celtic. We understand football. And it's, we've been warning that this decline, just look at the amount of members on this bus and the conversations we've all had to in the comments. It's no surprise. We've seen this coming for a long, long time. And he's overstayed his welcome. And now he's going out, and we've got, Chris Nicholson being upset, and that other idiot Chris Mackay or whatever his name was filming the fans the other night. Just bad optics right round the entire board. I mean, you couldn't even get good news right. You had to put a spin on it and make it that somehow the fans were just so lucky to have this guy. And, he didn't win he didn't kick a ball and win a single trophy. So yeah, I'm not going to miss him at all. Let's just see what mug we get in to replace him, because I'm sure it'll come. They'll come from the same school, the same pals, whatever it is, and we're supposed to be just suck it up and enjoy that as well. So Lyle, good riddance. I think for whatever you brought to the team, in an organisational way or whatever you think you brought to the team, it's all been undone, and it was a house of cards. And it felt down that quick, and everybody could have told you it was coming.
Yeah, definitely. But I want to dissect that one. I mean, I read a bit of the statement that Peter Lawwell apparently penned on the announcement, and I only got a couple of lines in, and he's talking about, I'm having to leave the club I love, and then at one point he pats himself on the back about the success I've overseen and all that. And since he came in, I believe it was 2003, he first appeared on the Celtic board as a CEO. That was right after Seville. And a lot of fans have pointed to the downsizing did kind of begin from that point on. Probably the best squad Celtic had during this century. I mean, the 2000s onwards have been pretty much Celtic's time. But that early 2000 squad under O'Neill was probably the strongest team that we've had. But the downsizing began pretty much from Peter Lawwell coming in. After O'Neill left, Strachan came in. It was pretty much given a remit. Got to get the wage bill down, and the downsizing continued. And yeah, now it's to the point where we haven't won a European knockout game since pretty much Peter Lawwell came into power. So that's quite damning in itself. But I couldn't even sit through the video of Michael Nicholson. Just didn't even bother with it. I got the gist of it from reading on Twitter and whatnot. I was like, I'm not get the time for this at all. Again, it's all you bad fans' fault and whatnot. And it's so weird how they seem to live in this bubble where the fans, we've got this perception of what we think Celtic can be. We can see the potential and we can see what this club can achieve, but it's like they can't. And it's just mind-boggling at times. But he is the first one to go. Will he be the last one? Will there be more to follow? Obviously, a lot of fans have said it's a start. But as you rightly point out there, Liam, there's a good chance that whoever replaces him is just going to be cut from the same cloth. And, in a similar way as to how Michael Nicholson was just an acolyte of Peter Lawwell when he became CEO. Also, we had the little Dom Mackay spell in between when Lawwell left before we get Nicholson. And people have been reminiscing about Don Mackay recently, actually talking about that 8 weeks or something he was in the job, of how we suddenly began functioning like a proper football team in the transfer window and whatnot. And then, yeah, it kind of regressed again. But I share your thoughts, Liam, that the likelihood is whoever does become chairman. I know at the moment Brian Wilson is interim chairman, and there's a word that's been... There's a word that's been doing the rounds with Celtic recently, interim. But yeah, apparently he is. But I don't think they're saying they're looking for obviously appointing somebody else. But if it goes the same way as the manager hunt after an interim spell, then we're holding much hope in that one, mate.
No, it's amazing, Phil. You know, if you add up just what I was saying there, but you know, the real heroes of Celtic, the Jocksteins, McNeil, Burns. I imagine you can combine everything they've been paid from Celtic, and Lawwell's quadrupled that, the money that he's got out of Celtic. You know, and here's the thing: he'll never ever have to pay for a way into Celtic in his life again. You think he's going to be buying a season book or going to have to buy tickets and all that? No, he'll be getting them comped every single time he wants to see Celtic, and he'll not be in the superstore buying the gear and all that he wants to sell as well, because probably one of the guys that thinks that's beneath him, you know. So, you know, he's got his suit, his tie. Get your brown brogues and bugger off.
Well, one of the comments that I started here, which kind of sums up Christie, says he's been harassed and scared, but he's not leaving till the 30th. So read into that what you will. But yeah, that is obviously the one, I guess, bit of good news this week, and amongst a whole sea of terrible news. So one of the stories I wanted to home in on today, again, take it for what it's worth, but obviously we are approaching a transfer window, and the former manager is now in a job. Liam, I think you saw this through the week, that Brendan Rodgers and John Kennedy have surfaced in the Middle East. They are now managing out in Saudi Arabia. I'm not going to try and pronounce the name of the team, because I'll probably butcher it something awful, so I'm not going to do that. But rumours right away that Callum McGregor is on his shopping list. And in recent years, if the name Callum McGregor getting linked to a move away came up, a lot of Celtic fans, me included, be like, no, I can't sell McGregor. But see right now with how I'm feeling, and I think a lot of fans are feeling the same with McGregor right now. I genuinely, like, I know the weird bit is, though, that little 7-week spell under O'Neill, McGregor was one of the standout performers, so he's clearly still very much can be such a vital player for us. But he, in the last 2 weeks under Nancy, like the rest of them, he's just regressed. So right now, I'm at a point where McGregor's linked to a move away. Just shrugging my shoulders. That's how I'm feeling right now. I shouldn't, because we know how vital McGregor can be. But yeah, I see that's doing the rounds. But I say take it for what it's worth, because I think the newspaper that's reporting it is obviously the one that we all hate, the Sun. So take it what you will. But Brendan Rodgers has been here before, being linked with Callum McGregor. When he went to Leicester City, there was murmurs of that. So I don't know if it's just lazy journalism in that sense, that they're just linking him again. But watch this space, mate. How would you feel if McGregor was to up sticks at this point?
I mean, he's not going to have the same effect in Saudi Arabia if O'Neill's getting... Oh, sorry. Oh, my God. If Brendan Rodgers is getting him to come and sort of like do what he does at Celtic, and that is provide the spark and provide the motion and, you know, get the team going and all that. I don't think he's going to have that same effect in a bunch of, you know, Saudi Arabians and mercenaries that are there for all other place. I don't know if that's in his toolkit, you know. Also, as well, me, a young family, if he does go, it's straight for the money. I'm not going to blame McGregor. He's had one club his entire, football career. Other than that, we stint at Notts County when he was young. It was alone.
I mean, Jack Grealish.
And he might just want to go and get the payday and, you know, just set up generational wealth for his family. And I wouldn't grudge him that. But yeah, you know, I'm thinking we should have been looking at, you know, like Lennon Miller or, you know, somebody to sort of fill that position and have somebody sort of ready-made to step in there. It's not the fact that McGregor's wanting, Brendan's interest in McGregor. It's the fact that we don't even have anybody that could come in and fill that space. You know, for what we were supposed to bring Ingles in or Bernardo in, none of them's been able to get close to that. And so that we'd have to go out and pay for somebody. And you know we're not going to pay for MD. You know, I don't think Miller's settled in Italy as well as he could have. That might be an approach we get if he does go. But I don't know. I don't see him going. But you're right. If he does go, all right, well, we're overhauling this team anyway. So it might help to bring in a different figurehead, somebody that we can build the team around. It becomes that hub in the centre of the park.
No, Dave, let's get some of the comments coming in because there's a few opinions on the McGregor story. So Hugh Jameson says it's obvious that Calmac doesn't rate the new boss. Join the club, Calmac. So I would guess that it would not appeal not to play for him. So that's a fair point. What else we've got here? Smell the Glove says Calmac has won 24 medals. He's done his bit for the club. Patrick Kerrigan says I don't want him to go, but he clearly doesn't click with Wilfried Nancy. Yep, say that little 7-week period there under Martin O'Neill. He and many others seem to have found their mojo again, but yeah, he seems to have, it just isn't really working right now. And also, William O'Toole asks, if you were Callum, what would you do? Again, it's this, say money could come into it and whatnot, but he might also just look at the real toxic atmosphere around the club right now and just think, I want to get away from this because, the players are very, very aware of everything that's going on off the field and in the stands. They can't be oblivious to it. Remember when we beat St Mirren in the league and McGregor scored the last-minute winner, and at the end of the game, he was front and centre with the players, making it very clear to the fans, stick with us, But, yeah, that was under O'Neill, under happier times just a month ago. But obviously things have blown up quite a bit since then. But, yeah, he's more than aware of that. So I don't know if maybe that's the type of thing that he's now entertaining the idea. But say a year ago, 2 years ago, the idea of McGregor leaving, I'd say, no chance. But that's generally the point that I've got to now, and I think many fans where we're just kind of like, oh well, But again, because we saw a month ago what he was capable of doing, and he's still got something there. I don't think he is the problem. And obviously we're going to discuss the major problem in a wee while. But yeah, we'll wait and see on that one regarding McGregor. But in terms of the games recently, I know we might as well touch on them a wee bit. Since we were last on, Liam, since you and I were last on last Friday, it's been it's been disastrous to say the least. Obviously, the League Cup final defeat. Yeah, somebody said on, I think it was on the comments of the Dundee United video the other night, is that worse than the Raith Rovers Coca-Cola Cup defeat in the 90s? And I would actually say the St Mirren one is worse because the Raith Rovers one came at a time when Celtic were really in the doldrums, like properly, finishing 4th and 5th, and they were just out of the financial problems and they just came out the other side. But, it was still fresh in the mind. So Fergus McCann had stepped in at that point and taken over the club. But nowadays, obviously, even though, we're not behaving like it this season, far from it, but we are supposed to be the premier club within this country. And we were outplayed, outfought, outclassed by 9th place St Mirren. And it was a comfortable win for St Mirren in the end. It really was. It wasn't even like a smash and grab where you can go, I remember we lost to Kilmarnock in a League Cup final in 2012 and Kelly pretty much scored with their only shot on target with about 5 minutes to go. So it was a bit of a smash and grab that day. But that one last Sunday, it was just, they thoroughly deserved it. It was comfortable, and coming away from it, obviously angry about it and whatnot, but at the same time, I'm like, we didn't even look like we wanted to win it today, and that is alarming. End of the day, Celtic are about winning trophies, even though the new manager seems to be, with some of the things he said, is giving off that impression that trophies aren't the be-all and end-all. You'll find that out pretty soon if he keeps up that. But yeah, it was just depressing, Liam. Really was, wasn't
it? This is a manager that nearly signed with Carlisle United. Signed with Carlisle United.
Carlisle is almost Scotland, so I kind of know about Scotland. It's like, honestly, man, that quote.
But through that, he's got an understanding of the expectations of Scottish football. I mean, that was just a brass neck as well, that comment that he had. And he's taken a team that's got a culture of winning and expectations, not just winning, but like trebles and that, exceeding the expectations of fans and that. And he's managed to just flip it completely and turn it the other way. I don't know what you think of him. we said originally, we came on, it's like, okay, give him a chance. I was always looked at MLS. Yeah, you get some good players, bad players, and that. The fact that the Cups that he's won, he won the MLS, but that's a bit of a toin cost when it gets to the playoffs. He won the Voyager Cup, which is basically used to be the Canadian Championships, which I've played in. There's only 3 professional teams in that. In fact, a bunch of my pals won it in 1985 with Toronto Emeralds out here in BC. They came out for it. So it's not that big a deal. These guys are still going to work in the next, had to get time off their, welding jobs and stuff to go. So it's not like a big cup, like he's won anything spectacular. It's still like that. Only there's 3 pro teams in it. Yeah, I thought we'd give him 5 games, and I said we'll know everything about this guy after 5 games. And I wasn't saying that, he had to win all 5, but we'd have a really good idea and a clear, concise sort of picture of what Wilfried Nancy is all about. And right now, he's out of his depth. I really think he is. He's out of it. And it's not just him. It's that Paul Tisdale as well.
Yeah, that's the big one. Yeah.
That's what seems to be coming up. That's his call. And the fans are on it. But, supposedly, I read yesterday, he's on holiday.
Apparently so, yeah, I heard that as well.
How can you go on holiday? This seems to be a thing with Celtic, where the board and all that always seem to go on, an extended Christmas break, and they come back into the transfer seasons 2 or 3 weeks into it and expect, we couldn't get them over the line. You're only working at it.
Aye.
So that's another one.
Are we stunning yourself and God knows where? I know. Honestly.
So the Nancy thing, I'm just worried that it will lead. I think there'll be a mass exodus of players wanting away and putting in their notice. And, I don't know how many, if Brendan Rodgers will want anybody else other than McGregor, but I think that's just lazy journalism. I don't know if he's going to do that.
Maybe Brendan will want a goalkeeper coach, because rumour is it's Stevie Woods. That one's been doing the rounds for about over a week now. And then,
I hope he takes Schmeichel.
Hi, if he wants a goalkeeper, he can take Casper if he wants. He's absolutely welcome to. But and Stevie Woods one's a weird one, because way back in the middle of last week, my dad had said to me, have you heard anything about Stevie Woods leaving? And I was like, no. And then a couple of days later, that WhatsApp rumour came out about Luke McCown had told somebody who told somebody. It's one of those WhatsApp ones that starts with, I'm pals with a personal trainer who's pals with Luke McCown. And it's like, one of the ones, I know somebody who knows somebody. And anyway, in amongst that, it did mention something about Stevie Woods, where it did say that Wilfried Nancy has said that he's unhappy with Stevie Woods' performance. And it's like, wait a minute, hold on. Stevie Woods, for as long as I have been going to Celtic Park as a season ticket holder since 2007, Stevie Woods has been the goalkeeper coach. He was goalkeeper coach when Gordon Strachan was there. He has worked with, in his time, Arthur Boric, Fraser Foster, Craig Gordon, Joe Hart, also Casper Schmeichel. All these sort of better goalkeepers of this modern era that we've had. And whenever you hear any of them doing interviews and his name comes up, they all talk about the work that he does, how great he is. And this guy, this manager, has apparently been in for 2 weeks and has made up his mind already. He doesn't like the work that Steve was doing. But there's now a story that he, on Wednesday night, was the last game that we're doing. Now, we'll see on Sunday, because I'm usually in the stadium early enough to see the players warming up, and Stevie Woods and the goalkeepers will come out first for the pre-match warm-up. So we'll see there. It could be a load of pie in the sky, but it's interesting that name came up before that WhatsApp rumour was even doing the rounds, that people had heard something. And we'll need to wait and see on that one. But 2 weeks ago, before the Hearts game, it's mad that all of this has happened in a 2 week spell, Liam. It's crazy, all the stuff that's going on. It feels like a whole season in 2 weeks. But yeah, 2 weeks ago, we sat here on the Friday night, and I said on that show, I went, right, Wilfried Nancy would have been my first choice. No, he wouldn't have been. But because of what happened to Ange Postecoglou, when I hadn't heard of him, I'm not going to write it off. I'm going to go in with an open mind, and I'm going to give it a chance. And like you just said there, 5 games, we'll get a rough idea. That's us had 4 games now, and I'm, pretty much the same as you. I do not foresee a way this is going to work. I think it's turned brutally toxic already, and it's not all Wilfried Nancy's fault. He's been put in this position as well. The people above him have obviously played a massive part in all of this. I said as well 2 weeks ago, if only there was a spell, Liam, a 2 week spell where Celtic weren't playing, that you could have brought him in then, something like an international break. And of course, we dilly-dallied on that and we waited. And again, if you believe all the rumours and the stories, and given Celtic's track record, Liam, they kept off the announcement because of it's a way to save money, apparently. But again, all rumours and whatnot, could be to do with backroom staff either way. But yeah, we dilly-dallied and messed around, and obviously he had to come in at a really, really busy time and a very important time. They've taken a gamble, and it has just blown up in their face. Honestly, I'd say you can't even write it, but honestly, it's just a surreal reality we're in right now, mate.
Yeah, I really think he needed a better carryover than Gavin Strachan. You know, like the backroom staff that stayed, and that Stevie Woods, Strachan. Obviously, Stevie Woods has just not been impressed by his coaching methods, and you know, and that's the rumor, like the McCowan rumor and all that. It was like the players aren't happy with it. Nobody's sort of impressed with what he's bringing to the table, as far as, you know, the training and that goes. And I think that's really important. You know, it's a big part of the work week for a professional football player, is that training and how you get better. And if you're not getting it, you know, that's something. The other rumour that I heard as well, that he pulled Yang, Tonetsky, McCowan, I think it was somebody else, and said, you're going to be wing backs now. You're no wingers or midfielders anymore. And some of the players took a hump with that as well. Yeah. So I don't know if that's something, you know, you can fix right away, you know, no matter even if he stays on, because those players, once you've lost the respect of people that early on, you're not going to get it back unless you do something exceptional. And everyone's pointing to him not doing anything exceptional in the coming weeks. I really thought we would have won against Dundee United on like a few days ago. You know, I really thought when we scored first for a change, all right, well, maybe that's it turning around. And then it just dived back into this confusion where players didn't know what they're doing. You know, it's I mean, it's so predictable. Everybody said that. You know, even right down to the, you know, giving them chances and that. This bus, the guys in our message board here, picked it out right away. It's like he's not the same as Ange Postecoglou. Ange Postecoglou had won championships, and he'd also done in different countries. He'd worked with star players, and he'd also been to a World Cup. That's huge. Yeah. You know, so that it wasn't the same. This is a guy that's basically been managing about 5 years. I mean, we've been nearly doing a podcast 5 years, so we've got about the same experience.
You're right. You're actually right. Aye. 2022. Aye.
So that makes no sense at all. And remember, we owe this guy nothing. And in fact, there's rumour that, you know, was it Columbus haven't even got a new coach yet. So
he could be back there.
Aye, you know, comfy shoes to go back there. You know, he's got his favourite places.
Well, going back to what you were saying about the rumours, that thing about the fullbacks, about McCown, Yang, that came off of the same initial WhatsApp rumour that was doing the rounds about, I know somebody who knows Luke McCown. Interestingly enough, since that came out, every time Luke McCown has came on the park, he's had to play out wide in this sort of left wing back, left midfielder getting up and down the wing. He's been put there every time he's came on, not been put in the middle of the park where he traditionally plays. I know Martin O'Neill was playing him as like a right winger at one point because we were down to the bare bones at times. But it is interesting that McCown has been sent to play out in that position as well. Like, obviously, Yang and Tunekti are wide players anyway. They play as wide midfielders, wide forwards. They do not have a defensive bone in their body, so he's asking them to track back and do the fullback work as well. But it is interesting when you think about what that rumour said from WhatsApp about Luke McCown being converted to a fullback, and that's every time he's been on the park since then. That's the only place he's been sent. Is that right? But just quickly touching then on through the week, it was interesting because all the scenarios that we've seen so far with Celtic under Nancy in the first 3 games where we've been trailing in every game, we haven't had the scenario yet where we're winning. You know, with Hearts, we obviously fell behind. Hearts then stodged it up a bit. They then scored to a set piece and we just couldn't break them down. So that was one of my concerns. I remember saying a couple of weeks ago, one of my big concerns about Wilfried Nancy is he's coming in from a league where They don't really play 10 men behind the ball. There's no real peril in the MLS because there's no relegation. You can finish as low as 8th or 9th and get into the playoffs. So there's quite a large, window there that you can get away with it essentially. So I was wondering how we do against a stodgy team that just packs the defense, packs the midfield. That one didn't go well. Then the Roma game, that was a free hit. I still say it was a free hit, but again, you would still have expected the players to not look as scared as what they were. But we were actually steamrolled and beaten comfortably in the end. St Mirren Cup final, yeah, as I say, absolutely abysmal. But again, another game we were trailing, minutes into the game, behind after a corner kick, another corner. And then Dundee United, something different happened, Liam. We actually took the lead. And it's like, okay, this is the first time we get to see how this team will perform in the lead. How do they manage the game? And yes, obviously, Johnny Kenny had a generational stinker of a night, right? He did. Johnny Kenny, I've said before, right? I'm happy for him that he scored that goal against Rangers. He's always going to have that in his career. He's always going to be able to look back on that, and he scored that day. He got a few goals against Falkirk, and I think he might have scored against Kelly as well. So under that wee spell with Martin O'Neill, he did okay. But to me, it was always still, it's still Johnny Kenny. To me, still a very average striker, but it's where we were at the time. In terms of injuries and where the squad was, it's just where we were. But I did find it interesting how last season, we lost the Scottish Cup final. Fans were losing their mind about we ended that game with Johnny Kenny up front, and then we lost to Hearts at Tynecastle. And again, fans were losing their mind that Johnny Kenny played that full game. And then Brendan Rodgers leaves. Martin O'Neill picks him for a few games, and suddenly, Johnny Kenny's great. And to me, it was almost like this is more a dislike for Brendan Rodgers than it is for Johnny Kenny. But anyway, it's all done now. But yeah, obviously the other night he has to play because of the injuries and whatnot, and has an absolute, generational stinker. Nothing that Wilfried Nancy could do about that. Daizen Maeda hitting the post 20 minutes to go. But that little 5-minute spell where we lost the 2 goals, from the 46th minute, from kicking off that second half, we just looked completely different team. We were dominant in the first half. It wasn't like Dundee United got 2 counter-attacks and they scored, but then we still very much took the game to them and continued how we did in the first half. It was almost like the second half, it was like starting again. I just want to know, what did he say at half-time? I mean, maybe we're not giving Jim Goodwin any credit in this one. Maybe he was able to look at how Celtic played and says, right, if I just change this, and this, we can counter them. Because my feeling right now, Liam, is all a team needs to do is be organised against us. Just hold their shape and be organised, because we don't have a shape right now. We don't have an identity. We are literally just throwing things against a wall and seeing what sticks right now.
I mean, all we need right now is a manager that's, it's funny, they showed the 2 of them writing in their wee notepads in the first half. Obviously, whatever Jim Goodwin wrote in his notepad was a lot better translated to the team than what Wilfried Nancy did, because they went in the opposite directions. Mm-hmm. I think that's what it is. You're seeing managers making notes, and they're looking and they're sort of saying, okay, I've figured out his system. I've figured out how to do it. And that is, okay, we just need to put pressure up and through the middle, because there's nobody protecting that back 3. There's channels there that are wide open. And if I just flood in some big physical lads in there, they'll be overpower them, and we'll be able to, maybe get some joy in front of the goal. And that's exactly what happened. Mm-hmm. And I think Scottish managers are figuring that out as well. And I think it's also as well, there's a wee bit of taste, like revenge and all that as well. You got all these managers that have plied their trade in Scotland and no Scottish football. And then when you bring in these, why are they bringing in this foreign donkey that knows nothing about our game and all that? And he's in the biggest club in Scotland. And, I'm, basically, in my trade with the Motherwells and Dundee Uniteds and St Mirrens and that of the world. So you see that it probably irks them a wee bit to see a muppet like that in that position, and they're not. And yeah, so when they see there's an opportunity, go for it. They went for it. And now you're seeing the teams have absolutely no fear of us whatsoever. It's not like we're going to give a team a hiding, when we were playing Dundee a few years back, when we were looking at going on to score 10 goals at one point. That's not happening anymore. Now they're looking and they're smelling the blood. They're seeing the vulnerabilities. They're seeing that he doesn't have a clue. He doesn't have an answer. He's not got a reaction. And they're saying, okay, we'll just adjust the team and go into, especially coming back for 1-0 down to come in and beat us. Even St Mirren, when we drew with them, they're the ones that look likely to score next, and they did twice.
Aye. No, you're right. It's other than a wee spell in the cup final. That's the thing. There's been wee spells along the way where they've looked no great, but again, the game is 90 minutes, so it's like it's all well and good being quite decent for 15, 20 minutes, but sadly it lasts over the piece. And as I said there, like the first time we managed to take a lead in a game, and you're like, okay, let's see how they manage the game. They failed that one as well. Also, definitely one of my favourite comments so far from Robert Gibson. Nancy's halftime team talk. Kick to the ball, it's the ball. Liam, you are, as I call you on here, you're the wise man of the bus. You're quite a philosophical guy. Have you been able to figure out what the ball is yet at all? Because when I came back from the game last Sunday, I didn't catch all the post-match show live because I came in mid-show. I just flicked it on at that point, but I was genuinely obviously stunned with anything Celtic. But I thought I'll see that Terry and that are on, and it was literally at that point where Terry was. I watched his post-match just to see if there was any little crumbs that he gave me, and one of his lines was, "The ball is the ball. The ball is the fucking ball," and it's just Terry's reaction is incredible. But yeah, I can't get it in my head. The ball is the ball. And I'm just so Liam, as I say, philosophical guy that you are. Have you any idea what that was all about?
Well, to just give you a comparison, Zidor is Zidor. Fucking yes. Use it.
Don't let it hit you on the arse on the way out. This is the problem with modern day football. I know I'm such an old head with this stuff, but all these coaches that have been spawned by Pep Guardiola, they come in with these ideas. And again, football is such a simple game. Why are you making it so convoluted? It's like, oh my God. Martin O'Neill, 73-year-old, he showed you, he gave you the blueprint of how you take this squad and how you line them up and how you set them up. Why on earth are you just going, right, I'm still going to play this 3-4-3 that I want to play, even though I clearly don't have the players. Joe, it's a great comparison you can draw there. What's been going on at Man United for the last year with Ruben Amorim, where he's came in and he's wanted to play that system, and he's had a couple of wins here and there, but also he keeps reverting back to the same crap at Man United. And it's like these managers that come in with one system that's completely alien to the team that was already there, and instead of just going, do you know what? I'm going to just take a step back and I'm going to adapt until I get the players in that can play this way. But they're just power ahead, and he's just not doing himself any favours with that one at all, Liam. He just really isn't.
Well, I mean, it's all this soy boy Nancy talk, innit? There's football philosophers and all that, and then O'Neill comes in and just shows you what rolling up the sleeves and actual football men can do. Men that have been on the pitch, men that have won trophies, men that have won something. No some guy that sat there on a tactic boards or played with just some shite teams that couldn't make it. He was Terry Henry's assistant, and yeah, I don't know. He needs Terry Henry's translator, because Terry Henry's got a much better turn of phrase than Nancy. I mean, I think a lot of that philosophy and all that stuff's all woke bullshit that sort of creeped into, life in general. And I think a lot of people are starting to see through that sometimes you still have to get results, and sometimes you just need to go out and actually do it rather than talking about it. And that's it. The people that we're seeing that are all talk, just like the last manager, I think you're going to see less and less of that, because, the game has changed. The game has changed.
The game is the game. Indeed.
The game is the game.
Aye, exactly. So, yeah, the ball is the ball. I've seen a few other podcasts bringing that one up as well, because, it's just... See what he was trying to come with that. Although, on the mention of Thierry Henry there, I did see Thierry Henry apparently was on Radio 5 Live, and he was talking about Wilfried Nancy and what's happened, obviously, and he's told us all to give him some time, and he used the term, let him cook. And I'm like, Thierry, I'm 40, right? And I feel out of place saying let him cook. I know a lot of the younger generation say it, but Thierry, come on, man, you're pushing 50, mate. Let him cook. Oh, come on. Honestly, I don't think he'll get much time to cook, to be honest. Whatever he's cooking, I don't think I'm that interested in it, to be honest. I'm not impressed with it so far. I did see a comment here. Did I start it? I probably didn't because I might have missed it. But basically, I think one of the folk had asked in the chat, it was Tomo that said it, had said, if he beats Rangers, do we keep him? First of all, do we think he's going to make it to the Rangers game? Really? I mean, that's where we're at right now. I know the weird bit is, a couple of months ago, Liam, we scoffed at Nottingham Forest for getting rid of Ange Postecoglou after 8 games, because obviously we love Ange, right? We know what Ange can do. So we were miffed, but at the end of the day, they lost. They didn't lose. They didn't win a single game, I think, in the 8. I think he drew a couple of games and lost the rest of them. And Nottingham Forest just decided to cut their losses. And the problem is with our board is they don't want to admit they got it wrong. They don't want to admit defeat. You know, we were told regarding Wilfried Nancy when it was doing the rounds that he was the favourite. Apparently Dermot Desmond had wanted him from before Brendan had even resigned. Apparently Dermot Desmond had sounded him out. There was generally a quote in whatever the Daily Record, whatever website it was that had the article, that this was a guy that Dermot Desmond wanted. And of course we've heard stories as well in recent months about the managerial process, the how they appoint a manager at Celtic. And the final part we're led to believe is they have a one-to-one with Dermot Desmond, and he decides if this guy can manage Celtic. And again, I'm like, looking at the evidence that we've now seen in the last flood, I don't think Dermot Desmond knows much about this guy, and it is purely he's just left it to Paul Tisdale and co. And this is where we are.
Yeah, I don't understand the Dermot Desmond input, and all of a sudden, well, if Dermot Desmond thinks he's good, he must be good. I mean, he's not made his money playing football. You know, and he's very fortunate to be involved with Celtic, you know, with the amount of money that he put in at, you know, right time, right place, one of these sort of guys, and he's fucking milked it. You know, one of the comments that came out about Nancy this week that I thought was quite unexpected, that had a right go at him, Rod Stewart.
No? Yeah, aye, on Talksport, aye.
I thought he'd be rounding the wagons and up with the board. No, Rod rolled up the sleeves and put the trainers on and just went right into fitted. And, you know, he's no in Rod Stewart's heart. He's no in his soul. He's, yeah. Trying to think of another song I could use.
That was actually quite good. That actually worked really, really well. By the way, I've got another story for you, by the way, just again to show you where Wilfried Nancy is in the eyes of the club. This is an interesting tidbit. So a mate of mine was at Hampden last week with the cup final, and one of his pals was in hospitality, was in one of the hospitality boxes, and before the game, Celtic had 2 pre-match speakers, and it was Tom Boyd and Jackie McNamara, and the whole time that they did their speech before the game, they were talking to the fans, they never, ever once addressed Wilfried Nancy as his name. They just called him the new guy and the manager. They were talking about, we need to get behind the new guy, we need to get behind the manager. They never said we need to get behind Wilfried, we need to get behind Wilfried Nancy or anything. They never used his name once. And I was like, it's wee things like that. And you're just like, wow, that's so good. But don't get me wrong, I do think there has been some mad hysteria. So yes, Wilfried Nancy's not helped his case at all with some of the things he's done so far. But the way he's also been treated as well compared to some other managers that came in. And I just think in general, Scottish football has a sort of archaic dinosaur type way where somebody a bit different and a bit new, you know, it's like almost like the country is scared of such a thing. I remember who was one Hearts appointed years ago? Was it Caffro? Ian Caffro? He was like, you know, obviously, as I said earlier on, these robots that have been spawned by Pep Guardiola's methods, you know, Wilfried Nancy probably falls into that. Russell Martin probably falls into that as well. Aye. But Ian Caffro was a good few years before that. Yeah, and I remember the press reaction to him, like everything, all these methods he was trying to adapt and whatnot. Again, it was just like that. You can't do anything right from wrong here. But yeah, I did find that interesting as well about McNamara and Boyd. At no point did they mention him by name. It was just the manager and the new guy, he was called. Weird that,
I wonder what McNamara's relationship is with this board as well, because that's, if you look at Paul Teasdale as the director of football, we said that before as well. That's a job that's just perfectly made for a guy like Jackie McNamara. I think he'd do really good. If you look at the record, the players that he's scouted, that he's brought through Dundee and as a player manager and all that, and understanding the what it's like to win. Yeah, I'd love to see him take over that job than, the guy that fucking got sacked for Stevenage. I went and looked. I had to Google him just to see, okay, what is it, this guy? Where did we get him from? And when you Google him and you see his record, it's appalling. It's terrible. There's nothing significantly successful that he has done in his life. I think he won some division title with Exeter, but it's not even a real football league. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you or I could have been up for a shot if that's the bar that they set. And so I think that's the way they correct it. You have to bring in a football guy like Jackie McNamara or Martin O'Neill or somebody like that to be the director of operations of the football, because, that shit-looking Trilby guy half asleep at games, he's not cutting it. And, let's get to him as well, Phil, because he needs to be shown it for as well. He said Celtic aren't in the top 100. Did you hear that quote?
No, I didn't hear that one, though. Anything Paul Tisdale right now, I'm just trying to shut myself off to it right now. I'm too disgusted by it all.
Yeah, he came in, he said, he made a quote or something like, Celtic wouldn't be in the top 100 football teams in the world. Okay. And whether that's true or not, and it's not, because you just have to look at the fan base and you just have to look at the amount of stuff that you see internationally. And, we've got roughly 12 million supporters and 800 supporters clubs all over the world. I've been part of a few of them.
Yeah.
And there's no other club that has anything like that. I think Real Madrid or Barcelona might have more football clubs, but most of them in Spain. They're not scattered around the world like the Irish and Scottish diaspora that follow Celtic. For him to come out with a comment like that, that's another one that just shows, like, why are we bringing in these people that have no alignment with the club and don't understand it? And you wonder why the fans are upset and all that. I mean, this is something that we are passionate about and we are educated about and we know about. Fan podcasts, people make their own content, write books, makes films about Celtic, all this sort of stuff right now. These guys are not even connected to it whatsoever. They know nothing. And I think it's going to get worse. So the game's at home on Sunday, huh?
Yes, we're at Celtic Park on Sunday afternoon, aye.
Will you be at the game?
I'll be there, mate. I'll go. Yep. Gone for punishment, me. I'll go.
You want to be there?
No, that's true, the Green Brigade. But they were there on Wednesday night. The away games they seem to be getting into, because we were told that the ban was indefinite for all games at the moment, but they've been getting into... They've gone into a few games since then. They were at the Kelly... Was it Kelly or Falkirk? Whatever one. They got in, basically... No, the Falkirk game was where this incident allegedly happened. But there was one a few weeks ago at Celtic Park. Well, Neil was there. It must be the Dundee game. It was the Dundee game. They were there because they were next to Bhoys Celtic, the group that sit in the southwest corner. They were with them. But when they were coming out the tunnel on Wednesday night, the Green Brigade were right there above the tunnel. Their banner was over the tunnel, so they were in the way in there. Also, I just want to quickly bring up this point as well. Graham Tyrrell, totally right in this one. Employing someone who calls himself the football doctor, stupidity. To which Patrick McLaughlin's followed up with Dr. Doolittle. Yeah, Doolittle definitely be the...
Dead on a
Celtic's terminal right now, man. I hope to God they know how to get them sorted here. Aye, football doctor. I forgot about that. Yeah, honestly. Ridiculous hipster nonsense, mate. Absolute nonsense. But I suppose with 49 minutes, we've ranted away here. We may as well talk about the game, because we do still have games coming thick and fast, and my God, we have to find some answers now and try and figure this out. But Aberdeen come to town on Sunday. We are playing on Sunday because Aberdeen were playing last night in the Conference League. I was wondering at first why we playing on Sunday at 3 o'clock at home, but then it dawned on me the Conference League had its final set of fixtures last night, and Aberdeen got trounced by Sparta Prague, so obviously they're on a bit of a downer, but I do believe they knew they were eliminated before they kicked the ball last night because they haven't amassed enough points. So they've obviously played Thursday night. We obviously played on Wednesday. So we've got a day's extra training. Whether that'll translate well on the park on Sunday, we shall see. But Liam, let's try and make sense of how this team's going to line up with what's available And first question is, and I think I know what my answer is, and I think you're going to be the same. Do we think that Wilfried Nancy will go, do you know what? I need to take a step back here and change my philosophy and go with this 4-3-3, or 4 at the back, try and stabilise it a bit? Or do you think he's going to say, nope, we're going to do it my way? What do you think, Liam?
Well, I think the first change you should make before the formation is start with the goalkeeper.
Oh, yeah, that's a good shout, yeah.
Honestly, during this run, do you know what's came across to me is that Schmeichel, like, looks like a dick. Honestly, he just looks like I imagine he's, just an arrogant twat to be around, He's a Nepo baby for starters, right? I mean, he's grown up with the luxury of his father being a professional footballer and, a guy on, like just a couple of pounds a week, fairly established star and that. And so I think he's always been in and around that. And there's always a bit of, spoiledness to him where he's not got that, that community roots, to take to understand what's going on with people and like fighting to get in there. He's had all the training in the best academies and been around professional footballers all his life.
I've just got to jump in there. I do think in his own right, though, over his career, he has established himself as a really good keeper, but he's clearly at the end of that now. Very, very clearly obvious he's done,
But I think what happens is when the skill goes, you start seeing what the person, you start seeing, what sort of camouflaged his personality. That starts to go now. As now you're seeing what's happening, when he's, not playing on a winning team, and where he's, faced with conflict and, and his own demise as well. Like, he's regressing as well. Since the Scotland game, I mean, I don't think he's had a clean sheet. Maybe one under O'Neill.
I think like the Dundee game, the last one, that was a 1-0. That was a clean sheet. But he's had very, very few. I mean, do you want to? I say before the Scotland game, I think the first sign that we really started to see Casper getting a bit people is the Dundee game at Dens Park, where a minute into the game, the Green Brigade and all threw balls onto the park, and then all the players had to go but Kasper Schmeichel was livid. Like the rest of the players were obviously a bit scunnered with having to do that, but Kasper Schmeichel was proper raging and giving a bit of abuse back to them and all that. And I say they're professionals; they want to just get on with the game. But it was. I noticed that day, and I think ever since then he's not really done himself much favours. If he wanted to keep himself in the good books, he's just. I know Terry highlights this a few times. The way he's been diving recently, I've been trying to get through my head because that boy scored the winner on Wednesday night. The way he bent it in, so he's turned onto his right and hit it, and it's went down to Casper's left. So as Casper's dived, I agree with Terry. If you're diving to that side, you would lean with your left more extended, but he seems to dive with his right more extended, and he's done that a few times now. He did it against Braga as well, didn't he? The infamous goal we lost to Braga. But yeah, it's again, that could be the shoulder injury though, because a lot of people, and I've seen it in the chat, are convinced that ever since the cup final last year, he's still bothered by that shoulder injury, and that's what he's trying to do, is try to protect it. But that falls on the coaching staff. Why are they not taking him out of that situation, if that's the case, Liam?
I mean, it's not been the same since Tierney scored that screamer, which he probably should have got to. But anyway, I'd like to see him out because I think they're playing a dangerous game with Sinisalo. He's going to want to start playing some football, and if it's not going to be now, when is it going to be? And I just don't see Casper as being a first name on the team sheet type of guy. So going on to the formation, Phil, do we change it? I don't think it's the 3 at the back. It's the problem.
Yeah,
I think it's the fact that we don't have anybody protecting them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
part of it. I've always liked a team that goes 3 at the back and stuff, but we don't seem to have the players for it right now. If we had Alistair Johnson, I think we would have been half decent, and CCV. I think we would have been half decent with 3 at the back. But right now, doesn't it look like we have the players to do it? Ralston looks lost.
Oh, God,
Can he play him there? Trusty has a good game, bad game. Liam Scales, my God. There was one part where Liam Scales was against Dundee where he got the ball. I think Tierney had passed it back to him, and he ran with the ball into space and then just completely lost that. It was like he was trying to dribble with his knees. It's like, and yeah, he seems to have lost all confidence whatsoever playing in that position. So between him and Kenny to see who will never play for Ireland again, right there, they're having a contest.
You would, but Liam, most people were saying the scales up to before Wilfried Nancy was arguably a best performer this season, which he was far from perfect, but that's where we were as a team. But yeah, he's lost. I mean, last week against St Mirren in that cup final, yeah, he got bullied at times. It was brutal, man.
I think O'Neill got the best out of him, and he gave him that wee bit of resurgence, but it completely fall away. And Martin O'Neill would have probably said to him, "Listen, don't do anything, don't try to even play football, son. Just heed the ball. When it comes, you head it forward." And all right, Gaffer. And that sort of works now. Now you are the playmaker, and the ball will come to you. And
the ball is the ball.
Yeah, the ball is the ball, and So I think he needs dropped.
Well, he was dropped on Wednesday night. When Wilfried Nancy was asked for the game, why have you dropped Scales? Oh, he's tired, but he's brought on anyway.
Played a lot of games.
On anyway.
One of the things, Phil, it's just talk about even the forwards and that. This is the first time ever that I remember a Celtic team where we didn't have anybody of note coming through the B team or the youths. There's nobody. There's no Karamoko Dembele came on at 16. I don't know what happened to him, but at least there was something. There was somebody. There was an Aidan Moffat. There was a Mark Fotheringham. There was, there's always been guys coming through Celtic. Mark Burchell's, guys that we thought were quite good that would, come into the Celtic team and maybe make a run for, trying to get the position. We don't have any of that. We had a snapshot at that. Was it Sean McCardle?
That's right. Last season he popped up, and I think he got a couple of games of pre-season. Not seen a sniff of him this season. No.
And I saw him in the training and the Lennoxtown Unfiltered. I seen him there. So I know we're jumping all over the place, but by the way, one of the things, do you know where Mark Burchell is now?
No, I can't say I do. No.
He's got a director of football role. I don't know if he's the top guy at Liverpool.
Liverpool? Wow.
Liverpool. That's where Mark Burchell is now. Somebody maybe you can figure it in the chat what the real role is. But another one as well you could bring back that might be interested, that it's got some great contacts and things to come in, that's not named Paul Teasdale.
I know. Remember there was the whole thing as well that apparently former Spurs manager David Pleat was meant to be working with him as well. Nothing ever came of that. So that one went quiet. But yeah, I think Graham Tyrrell's saying that McCardle's on loan at Partick, but again, there was a lot of hype about him last season. He got a brief couple of games in the pre-season there, but yeah, obviously shipped out on loan to Partick. But last season we were all talking about this boy could break through. Obviously, the only one this season that has came through is obviously Donovan, and Donovan obviously last week he was culpable for the third goal that we lost, wasn't it, in the cup final? But again, the way we're playing right now, we're so suicidal going forward. We're leaving ourselves so exposed at the back. He obviously get caught in possession. St Mirren just broke, and obviously the guy just passes it across the goal, and they score the third goal. But Donovan right now, he's not going to develop much in this. He's having to come on and play as an auxiliary centre back as well, because he's a right full back. But now he's being asked if he does come on the park to play in a back three as centre back, and it is a massive mess. And I do agree the protection in front of them is not helping, because we are playing so high up the park right now. And also the final third. The final third was a problem before Martin O'Neill took over. We said under Brendan we weren't scoring enough goals. We were having a lot of problems in the final third. I think there was a damning stat about between Balakisha, Tenecti and Shin. That was £12 million worth of players that were bought in the summer. And there's only one league goal and one assist between the three of them. And that's still the case now. The final third just looks bereft of ideas. Maeda, nice finish on Wednesday night, no doubt about it, but he's not been doing it consistently enough compared to last season. Whether that's because he's mentally checked out, I wouldn't really blame him. The way things have gone in the last couple of weeks, especially, maybe he has just said, I know there's now a story doing the rounds, Liam, that he says he's happy to stay until the end of the season, but I don't know about that. I think with the way things are going, I think he'll be itching to move on.
Remember, he was coming off a head knock.
Well, that's true. Maybe that's the case.
Never
Yes,
know.
Concussion syndrome. But yeah, the final third as well is alarming. The lack of chances. Like when St Mirren went 2-1 up last week in the cup final, and still 2-1 at that point. There's still about half an hour to go, but you just felt even at that point, we're not going to score here. 2-1, and that's mad. And when Dundee United took the lead, again, it's like we weren't doing anything, and that's worrying. But that first half performance on Wednesday night, it's like, well, if you can do that for 90 minutes, then by the law of averages, you'll surely go on and win. But I said earlier on, we seem to play in little spells where 15 minutes, 20 minutes, we look okay, we look half decent. But either the game's lost by that point or say we don't take our chances and end up blowing it later on. So obviously now Aberdeen, they've had a bit of a weird season, a weird 2025 in general, because obviously in 2024, they were the team that were on everybody's lips. Everyone was buzzing about them. They obviously fell away around about Christmas time. 2025, for the first half of the year, they couldn't buy a win, and then they go and beat us in the Scottish Cup final, of course. And this season, they've been a bit up and down. At one point, I think they were marooned at the bottom for a good 3 or 4 weeks. But obviously, they've got themselves, I think they're 6th or 7th in the table now. And again, I just feel like if a team is organised enough, then they don't have much to worry about with us right now. Because again, it goes back to what I said earlier on. We don't have a shape right now. So Jimmy Tillene will surely be telling the Aberdeen players, if we just stick to our positions, just make sure you stick to your man, keep it tight, 10 men behind the ball, whatever. Aberdeen have every right to come down on Sunday and think we can take something here. Obviously, we cannot afford to drop any more points, but that's where we're at the moment, Liam, where every fan is genuinely like going into games like this, where like, man, it shouldn't be this way, but that's just where we find ourselves, Liam.
Well, just like we came up against a hot goalie in St Mirren, the Aberdeen goalkeeper's always been on my radar because besides Scotland, I have a family obligation to support Bulgaria. And he's the Bulgarian international goalkeeper now, despite living in England since he was like 16 or 17. And he's one of the guys that I remember he played against us a few seasons back when he first came into the league. And he was phenomenal against us. And he was really good. And I've always said like the decline in Aberdeen happened when he was injured and our other goalkeeper was in goal.
Doohan, yep.
Doohan. And that's when he shit the bed, because I remember us shipping 6 past us the first time we played against Doohan. I was thinking, this guy, right. Remember he was with us, right? And the fact that we took him back, that makes no sense at all. So you never know, we could run into a very hot goalkeeper again as well. And right now, we're not getting enough chances as it is, or we're not even making the goalkeeper make a save. But if we do get a hot goalkeeper on top of that, it could be a very frustrating day for us.
It could be, and as Ian McIntosh said, confidence is very low, and that's the problem. The players just look completely bereft of confidence, and you just worry that if Aberdeen were to snatch the lead on Sunday, and again, you're at home against Aberdeen, who've not exactly been great this season, but you would genuinely be like, oh God, man, are we actually going to come back here? That's where we are, sadly. That's the point we're at, and you're just not seeing enough in the final third to pull it out, but right now we have to limp through to January, and then you're relying on a massive January window. And how many times we went over that, Liam, about what we can expect in January. I mean, there's no way, especially after Michael Nicholson's rallying cry the other day about how they'll back the manager and talk about how he's excited for the. Now, did you notice this? Actually, I did see this quote doing the rounds because I didn't watch the full video because I just don't.
Yeah, did I?
Yeah, right. But apparently he also said he's excited. Michael Nicholson is excited for the project. The project. Celtic are a project now. My God, mate. Well, where do you even start with that one? Again, it's the small things. It's the small details you pick up by. He said he's excited for this project. Talk about the next 2 windows of what Celtic can become. Wilfried Nancy's vision. So Michael Nicholson's talking about, but he says he's excited for this project.
My God. I mean, you look at companies that do really well, and you listen to I watch that like Diary of a CEO and stuff like that, and you see these guys that come in, they talk about culture's being everything, culture and understanding your mission statement, and how to drive a company forward and all that, and it starts at the top. Christ, we're in trouble, because that's what's at the top. You know,
Yeah.
he's. I mean, and yet this is a guy that supposedly grew up with the culture of and what it means to be Celtic and what it means to win. You know, have this winning attitude, and I've never seen a team so disconnected for the fans right now. If this was a normal business, the way they act right now, it'd be shut down. I mean, the last thing you want to do is like fight with your customers. You want to take your brand and devalue it. You know, all these everything that they're doing. You could write an absolutely brilliant business book on what not to do with a world-class global brand, and I think it's going to end up in some business MBA sort of document and thesis on here's how to destroy a brand, not overnight, but just with like, you know, death by a thousand cunts.
That was quite appropriate. JM
Yeah.
says, we are Celtic, not a project. Hugh Jameson, he's got a quite strong message saying, do not give Nancy money to spend. Yeah, well, say if he doesn't win the next few games, is he even going to make it to January? Like earlier on, there was a question about if he beats Rangers, do we get behind him? And it's like, is he going to even make it to the Rangers game at this rate? I mean, this again, we don't want to be in this position, but this is the questions we've got to ask, because it's gone so catastrophically wrong. They have got it wrong, and there's nothing wrong with swallowing your pride and just putting your hands up and saying, we did get it wrong, and cutting the losses if that's the case. But they seem to have backed him publicly, so I guess they're going to need to give him at least another 2 games. There was a story doing the rounds about apparently he has asked for the next 2 games to prove himself, which is worrying in itself.
Give me 2 games to prove myself. I think I could pick a better team and go out there and kick some arses on the training grounds.
Yeah, you know? It's almost like, Liam, to me, it feels like, I can't believe this is the case, because the guy is obviously, you know, he's from a country that, you know, they know the sport. You know, he's French. You know, it's not like, you know, he's been managing in the MLS, yes, but, you know, he understands the game. It is the top sport in France, so, you know, he's well exposed to it. But I just feel like him only managing in the MLS, he's kind of got that mindset. And again, it goes back to what I said earlier on about the format over there, where you can lose multiple games and still end up being champion at the end of the season. And it's like, mate, seeing this, and this, not just in this country, seeing this city, second place is nothing, mate. And the way some of the things he's came across saying it's all about performance rather than results for him. And I think there was even a comment doing the rounds pre-match of the cup final, where he said something to the lassie on Premier Sport about, you know, it's not about winning trophies and whatnot. And it's like, it's a cup final. It's all about winning the trophy today, my man. So it's things like that. It's just like, it's also, he's got this mentality of, if we lose a few games, it's all right. As Hugh Keevan says, you know, a draw in Glasgow is a disaster. So, yeah, what you go through right now?
Well, he played his trade in Montreal. And then, you know, I'll hate to admit it, being a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, but there's no more bigger hockey fans in the world than the Montreal Canadiens. All you have to do is look at the Stanley Cups they lost. They riot in the streets. They're overturning police cars. There's passion there. You know, you just had to look across the thing to see how a team with a history behaves. You know, Montreal, I don't know, were they intrepid when he was there? I mean, this is a team that's changed its name 3 different times since it's been in Montreal. You know, Montreal FC, Montreal Intrepid, Montreal Manique. You know, that's not a culture of winning in football.
Yeah.
In fact, Montreal is, you know, Quebec leagues were never seen as being any good. You never seen them in any of the Canadian Championship, you know, games and all that. It was always Ontario and British Columbia. But, you know, but they had a culture of winning, and you'd think that seeped off. You go to Columbus. Well, Columbus, I don't even think they've got another sports team. Maybe the Blue Jackets or something, or college basketball or something. But, you know, that's it. I don't think there's a lot of media scrutiny that he's had, and now he's seeing it. And, yeah, I'm thinking he's panicking. You know, and he's thinking that we're just going to, let's just let him see how it goes. I mean, you know, 2 games is 6 more points. We can't afford to lose 6 more points. You know,
I know.
Rangers have been sneaking up. Now, they've managed to, the Harlem Globetrotters is back. You know, that Connor Goldson, you know, get out of jail free hand ball card in the box seems to get applied when it comes to VAR, where they've came through and managed to creep up on us, but it's been with a lot of dodgy, like 1-goal decisions where they should have had a penalty against them.
Aye. The winning though, that's the thing, and we would take any scrappy win right now. And there's one of the
2 games.
Tomo's comment on the screen. We've got Motherwell at Fir Park coming up as well, and that's going to be tough. They're 4th just now in the league, so it's like, oh man. Even when Motherwell came to Celtic Park early in the season, it took us a 95th minute winner that day to bail ourselves out. So that's going to be difficult. Livingston, who are bottom of the league and are stranded at the bottom, but for some reason, Livy has always been a really difficult ground for us over the last decade when they've been back up in the Premier League. Multiple managers have struggled there and had some bad results. So it's like of all the grounds to be coming up, that bloody Livingston, Almondvale. Yeah. So that's on the calendar as well. But yeah, say first and foremost, it's Aberdeen. So before we go, because we've been on for an hour and 11 minutes, there are, as well, get this, Liam, there are over 200 people watching live. It is the busiest Friday feeling we've ever done on this channel and on the previous channel as well, on the Boise Bus. This is the busiest one. I wonder why, and I wonder how many of the 200 are watching are actually Celtic fans. But anyway, as Terry says on the post-match stuff, when it's a bad result, look, we've been dishing it out for long enough. We're big enough boys to take it on the chin. Like Tony Mowbray always used to say, we'll take it on the chin. But yes, there's over 200 watching live. So hit the like button. We'd appreciate that very much. But Aberdeen... Aberdeen Sunday, are we going to win, Liam? That is a big question before we head off. We'll need to do the predictions. Oh, yeah, Here we go again. Are we going to win, Liam?
No, I don't think so. I wanted to... I put on a brave face last week and I said, are we going to win, the cup final and that? And I said, yes, we'll win. Inside my head, I was thinking, no, we're not. And I don't think we're going to win this game either.
Is this some reverse psychology you're trying where I've picked up win every week? I'll go the opposite this time and it'll go the other way.
I just don't feel we've got the momentum. This is runs the momentum, and the momentum right now is negative. And I don't think the players are jacking themselves up at training and saying, right, getting into it. I think most of it is really like, I can't believe what this guy's doing or got us doing. And I think he might be a bit of down tools. He's got to make big changes. And the big change, I think, would start with Schmeichel. If he comes in with Sinisalo, you might see the guys that might bring the team around more because, okay, that's a big significant change that they can help react. They don't want to hang out their mate to dry. And, that'll be part of it. Whereas Schmeichel shouting at them, they're probably sick to death of him as well.
Definitely. Well, let's get some of the comments before I give my prediction. Let's see. Rubber Duck, he's having a laugh. He's saying Celtic 4-0 Casper hat-trick. That's like when you used to do your predictions with Greg Taylor hat-tricks, but there we go. Casper hat-trick one. Oh, Spell the Glove, he says 3-1 Aberdeen. Oh, God almighty. You wouldn't even rule it out, to be fair, at this stage. McGoglin P is saying 0-0. I could see that, to be fair. Oh, God. 4-0 Aberdeen. Oh, no. Oh, dearie me. What else have we got here? Jesus, this is depressing. But I say, sadly, this is where we are at the moment. Oh, God. Graham Tyrrell, he's abandoned us as well. 2-3 to Aberdeen. Oh, come on. Really? I'm going to, with no conviction at all, I'm going to say that we'll somehow, by hook or by crook, scrape a very ugly win. Not going to go for a score line, but I'm just going to say that somehow we're going to find a win, but I'm saying it with no conviction at all. I'm not even confident in saying it, but I might as well just throw it out there and just say, hey, do you know what? Let's try and just get it done somehow by a scrappy penalty, a deflected goal, whatever it takes. But it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be difficult. I think Kerrigan, Carlisle 1, Aberdeen 1. Very good. Very good.
I think people just want to see it. You don't want Celtic to get beat, but if you are going to get beat, it could signal change. And I think what we want is we want to see change. And if it means, taking a wee bit of pain to get to something better, I see it as being that way. I would take the loss right now just to see us react in a positive way. That means either getting rid of the upstairs staff, Teasdale, Nancy, the two of them should go at the same time, and bringing back O'Neill or filling it with football men that we know it can actually get a result, that understand that it isn't about the ball is the ball. It isn't about just creating a project or a process or a system. It's about winning games, and it's a culture of winning. And right now, that's what's missing.
Definitely is. And of course, one more comment before we go. Patrick Higgs says, I think the players want him gone, and that is a big worry. Because if the players have decided, we've seen there's plenty of examples over the last few years. You can look at teams like Chelsea. They've had a culture of getting managers sacked when they've decided this guy is their friend. Man United. Player power is everything in the modern game. And if these players have decided that they're just going to phone it in for this guy because they don't like it, then don't be surprised if we do drop points to Aberdeen, but it'll be over to the Celtic board then. But hopefully that's not the case. We have to try and turn this around somehow. So fingers crossed, and I'll say this at the end of every Friday show, when you come back to watch the post-match show on Sunday when Terry will be here, hopefully he's talking about a good result because he's definitely due one. He's been in the trenches this season, Terry. He certainly has. For the last few years on the Boise bus, we were going a good run. We won trebles and doubles. We had Ange, Brendan came back in. Everything was good. But Terry has certainly been through the trenches this season. We're hosting the post-match shows. But hopefully, when he's on Sunday, it's a positive one. But we're going to have to take Aberdeen very, very seriously. And Wilfried Nancy, it's over to you to find the answers and over to these players to actually show up. So, yeah, we shall head off now, folks. It has been another lively, a very lively Friday feelings. It's the busiest one we've ever done. So again, hit the like button on the way out. Helps out massively. Subscribe if you're new as well and you like the cut of our jib tonight. Hopefully we helped you out in our Friday therapy session, got it off the chest a wee bit. I certainly feel a bit better anyway, just, somewhere to vent, talking to you, Liam, every Friday night, getting this off my chest. But hopefully this hasn't become a regular thing, week in, week out, but it's all part and parcel of being a football fan. You've got to take the rough with the smooth, haven't you? So, yeah.
I hope we're back here next week and we're talking about a really, something positive, a new manager, a player that we've maybe we're going to announce, at the window. This team needs some good news.
It definitely does. Definitely does. The fans need some good news because we're the ones that are going through it right now. We're the ones suffering in the middle of all this. But yeah, folks, enjoy the game on Sunday as best you can. Try your best. And come back on Sunday afternoon for the post-match show and we'll catch you then. Cheers for joining me tonight, Liam. Cheers, everyone, for joining us as well live on the show. And we shall catch you later. Cheers, guys.